Welcome to the Your Family Dog podcast, where we celebrate the special bond between families and their canine companions. Our goal is to help families and dogs grow up together, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the Your Family Dog podcast. Today, we're going to do part 2 of our discussion on nutrition with Emily. If you missed part 1, please go back to the preceding episode so that you make sure that you don't miss anything. And now, on with the show. So when you're feeding fresh raw, which is what I would call what you're doing, it's a misnomer, right? You are gently blanching vegetables so that it's more digestibly available to the dog. The nutrition is. How do you?
I don't actually do vegetables very often because we get our fur and fiber from ears.
Okay.
We typically do a lamb's ear or a cow's ear, and depending on the dog and the size of the dog, you want to divvy that up. But you can give it to them whole. They can just chomp it up because they can chew that cartilage right up. But I generally cut because I have a dog that's weird about food too. He's like, "What is that thing?" But as soon as I cut it up a little bit so he can chew it in smaller pieces, then he's like, "Oh yeah, I like that stinky hairy thing. I forgot," and he'll just gobble it right down.
The last time the Doberman was at training with me at the store, as we were walking through with other customers headed out to the car, he swiped a duck foot.
Oh, those are a favorite in this house.
And he was like, there will not be a drop it cue with a duck's foot. Like, that was contraband. And he was like, no, gloof, like just gone. And I was like, well, let us pray. So I do worry about bowel perfs. I think it's an important thing to talk about. So again, part of the reason I use freeze-dried raw because they pulverize the bone, so I don't have to worry about a bowel perf, but the dog is getting advantage of whole prey. Not all products do that, but many do. Um, I will say I use most of the time Noble, Nobl pet food. There is a coupon code Sit Happens that gives you, which is my training company, that gives you 15% off. I will probably have Jim from Noble back on again soon to talk about their products. They even have, which I want to hear your take on this, they even have a vegetarian option.
Not enough protein. It's a trendy marketing thing, in my
Yeah,
opinion, if
I
you
wanna
want to
ask
add it
him
for
about it.
toppers.
I also wanna ask about, and I don't think they're carrying this, but insect-based
Same thing.
foods. I'm like, I want a lot more research on that. That being said, I live in Georgia, and my dogs will eat cicadas. Like,
Yeah,
they are tiny little chocolates. Like,
yeah.
they love a cicada. Um, it seems to me that that's a lot of fiber, and
Yes, it is a
And
lot of
fiber can
fiber.
block, so it's my understanding on the inside baseball that part of the issue that happened with the big DCM scare was that when pet food companies were figured out that animal meat protein was pretty expensive, that they figured out plant protein was less expensive, and it solved the issue of having a sufficient amount of fiber to push their product through an extruder to make kibble. So it kind of
Correct.
solved 2 different issues for them, right? Like they could buy less expensive protein but still have their protein numbers high, and it pushed the product through the extruder, making it easier to produce pet food. The downside of that is just like when I take fiber, it blocks the absorption of some nutrients, right?
Yes.
If we're on a diet, more fiber, right? So when you see pet foods that are like, oh, this is a fiber, well, this is a diet food for the overweight dog, I would tell you to feed less and feed cleaner, but and more meat, less
Yes.
carbohydrate. But they actually believe that that was part of the issue, not the wonderful big company that I used to love that I now won't mention, because just because you make a good candy bar, I remain unconvinced. that you're gonna serve my dog well. So, it's all good. Maybe one day
I
I'll change my mind, but
I think that the problem with these things are, and here's the what I've heard, is that the reason a lot of these diets came around is because there are people who are choosing not to be carnivores, and they want to feed their dog without having to feed their dog like it's a carnivore because they're uncomfortable doing that, but your dog is a
well, and there
carnivore.
and, like, I'm not gonna throw shade to those people, like, we all have to live in our values and integrity.
Yes.
The the pet food company that I purchase kibble from, both Noble and the kibble-based pet food I feed, both of those companies are sustainably sourced, right? They're human grade. Their ingredient quality is fixed formula, meaning that they're not buying spoilage. There's a high standard. If it wouldn't go into the human food chain, and we can talk about whether that standard's high enough or not, but it's higher than it is for non-fixed formula dog foods, where they literally can purchase spoilage
Yeah.
and produce it.
Yes.
So, it does matter to me. The environment matters to me, being sustainable, being humane matters to me, being transparent about where they get the supplies that go into their feeds. All of those things are very important to me, more important for my pets than it is for me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I hopefully am gonna live a really long time. I have animals that live with me that well, that their average life expectancy would be, like, 8 years.
Mhm.
So, I want them to have the very best ride they can, and I put
Yeah.
my money where what is proven like okay, so my last Doberman lived to almost 15. Doberman Pinschers don't live to 15. My
Mhm.
last Jack Russell Terrier lived to nearly 18.
Wow.
The animals in my household who now, I did lose a female Doberman at 5 to osteosarcoma, bone
Oh,
cancer.
wow. Yeah.
Nutrition isn't gonna impact that,
No.
right? Again, she was eating grain-free, right? But likely had a genetic form of cancer that came from poor breeding practices, right? I I picked her up literally off the side of the road, starving, tied to a tree, right? She was 9 months old and she weighed 26 pounds.
Oh
This
my
is not a
gosh.
dog who got great care and nutrition when she was a young dog. So, we were playing catch up. She had a marvelous 5 years, and I am heartbroken every day that Willow didn't live longer than that. My current Doberman is 4, right? He has had some not great dog foods in his past before me, and now he has phenomenal nutrition. Am I gonna be able to control everything? No, but I can control what I can control. So we have a whole house filter that's hopefully keeping his water clean, and I also would say, in my experience, if you're feeding well, then you're not having to add a whole bunch of supplements and stuff to your dog's food. Would you say that generally that's true?
So, every every meal isn't going to have 100% of what it needs, right? No matter what you're feeding, whether you're feeding kibble or you're feeding complete raw, you're not going to hit all of the nutrients that you need to hit. I don't think it's so much about putting tons of supplements into your dog food. I think it's about putting the right supplements into your dog's food. Now, we again use the pet matrix, and it's 3 different supplements. There's one for the gut health, which is the protect, and then there's move, which is bone and muscle and joints, and then there's think, which is neurological um it helps with neurological stuff. And so we do a scoop of each of those every single day, and I will tell you that both of my dogs don't have any stomach issues. They have aged backwards as far as like physicality and movement, and their focus levels are so much higher. So, in my opinion, it's about finding the right supplements and just not buying into the marketing of, oh, this looks pretty on the shelf and not really knowing what's in the supplement just as much as you don't know what's in the dog food.
I mean, we rotate through a bunch of different pre and probiotic and digestive enzyme products because I know none of them are going to be perfect. The same as I do for me, by the way. Um, I don't just stay married to one product. And I have to constantly watch to see, has this amazing product now been purchased by some conglomerate who's going to take the quality and slowly erode that as they live off the name. I've seen that happen in a bunch of pet food companies, and it's
That's why I like Pet Matrix because they're not a white label. They're not in pet stores. It's a private company and it's, all science backed and all that kind of stuff. I could talk about Pet Matrix for hours. I have episodes with them on my podcast and I feel very, very strongly about their products. And I was not a person that really did a whole lot of supplement stuff because I didn't trust what was in most of the supplements until I saw the difference that their products made for my
right.
dogs.
So one of my dogs had a gastrointestinal tumor, a GIST tumor, many years ago when he was 7. He's 13 now, and they had to remove his duodenum. So that, I mean, it completely screwed up the poor kid's digestive tract. And so I know building gut health back takes a really long time. It's a very complicated thing. And so most of the time, I rotate between Nutriscience product, Visbiome, and Proviable. Those generally are the sometimes Dr. Marty's, right? I do mix other products in and out. Um, I guess I'll have to look at the other one. I I do worry about when it's a white label, when it's a product that you can only get from one source, that things like all of a sudden they have a manufacturing problem. And now something that my animals are relying on is unavailable.
Yeah, that was definitely a kink in the system for sure when that happened to us,
And
but,
stuff happens, right?
yeah, and
Like,
stuff happens, right? Yeah, so now I just try to be ahead of the game, right? Like, I try to have an extra month in advance all the time so that that won't happen even if they do have a supply issue, but I can't tell you, having a dog that has pancreatitis every single week of his life and just seeing, like, his distended belly and watching him gag and throw up and have diarrhea and all of the things, like, seeing him in that much discomfort and finding something that works for him, again, feed the dog in front of you. If you find something that works,
oh,
stick
yeah.
with it. Stick with
And
it.
someone with an experience is not at the mercy of someone with an opinion,
No.
right? I have people when they talk to me about nutrition, like, what are you feeding your dog? Who, "Oh, this, that, whatever," and I'm like, "Listen, I'm just answering the question you asked me. Like,
Mhm.
you do you,
Yeah.
I'm not the boss of you." Um, but I also one of the things from a behavior standpoint that really made me a believer was I often do high level fear and aggression work, right? So, dogs that have hospitalized a human
Yeah.
or have killed another animal in the household. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking some serious stuff. Now, thank goodness, not a lot of my practice is that. The vast majority is like the sweethearts that we all have, hanging out in our homes with us. But I do behavior services for these really serious cases. But what was interesting to me was when I started asking the nutrition question, what do you feed your dog? Even in my regular clients, I kept getting the same answers over and over. And when we just switched to like a moderate quality food, not even something that's like going to break the bank. One, people fed less, so they reported that they actually saved money. Right? So even though the bag of dog food might have been more expensive than the bag of dog food they were buying previously, they fed typically a third to half as much. volume. And so m I would tell you anecdotally that that's higher digestibility. The dog is getting more nutrition from the a smaller quantity. Right? So, we had to be careful because we don't want dogs being overweight. That is absolutely one of the stools on which I sit. Like,
Me
please
too.
keep your dog on the lean side of ideal until they're elderly, and then put another pound or 2 on them just in case they get vestibular and can't eat for a couple of days, because I don't want them to be a rack of bones. But in those severe aggression cases, I kept records for a long time. 70% switching from the brands that the Voldemort brands to a moderate quality dog food eliminated the aggression. We didn't change anything else. It was gone. In many cases, the person never came to see me because the dog's behavior improved so much by switching to a different brand that was just cleaner. It wasn't perfect, right? It wasn't. But just that change impacted behavior so significantly that while it's anecdotal, man, it's pretty compelling.
It really is, and, I mean, let's just put it this way. As a human, if you eat something and now you don't feel good and you have a stomach ache and maybe you have IBS and so you have a flare up and now you can't go to the bathroom for 2 days and you're cramping and now you have a headache because you're probably dehydrated on top of it because you're just not processing everything right. You are grouchy and crabby and snappy and probably want to rip somebody's head off. Well, imagine that your dog feels like that.
Or maybe just not as resilient, not as tolerant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're feeding whatever you're feeding, I love you and I think you're smart and pretty. And I trust you to know what works for your family, right? I'm good with it. I love your vet. Your vet is smart and pretty. Your vet knows lots and lots of things. Your vet can't know everything
Mhm.
any more than I can know everything. So, what are some good sourcing for people who want to learn no more? Like, I love The Forever Dog by Dr. Karen Becker. I really, really highly recommend the Whole Dog Journal. By the way, I don't get anything. I'm telling you what I recommend all day, every day. While I might at some point get an affiliate link, I don't have one right now at this recording. Though maybe that's something I should look into because I talk about it every single day. The science changes every single day.
Mhm.
Building health changes every single day. We learn new things. So what are some sources that you like to point people to?
So the Forever Dog is a huge one for me too, but they are connected with the Feed Real company. They actually just did a subscription box in at the beginning of December for the entire month, where if you bought one of the uh, Feed Feed Real subscription boxes, the $60 with 6 bags of treats, they sent you a free Forever Dog cookbook. So
Nice.
that was a really cool promotion. I absolutely loved that. I thought that was super fun. But the other one, obviously, is Feed Real. They have these amazing subscription boxes. Everything's dehydrated, fresh, real treats. Fitz's favorite thing when we get them are the duck heads, honestly. And they look disgusting. And let me tell you guys,
I
they
have
smell.
such a hard
They
time with that.
smell. They
Oh.
smell. They do, but they have little stickers inside the bags, and the bags in the stickers, they say, "It stinks because it's real." And it's true. They do not smell great, so maybe take your dog outside and give it to him in the yard or
And
something
I
if you
can't
can't
even
handle it.
imagine trying to explain that to a kid. Like, I am not about traumatizing children. Like, I get it. Like, when Dovey was eating that duck foot, I probably could not have been greener, right? Uh, right now, sitting on my desk at work is freeze-dried minnows because I have some dogs who they will sell their souls.
Yeah.
for a tiny little fish that still has eyes. And every time I give it to a dog and stick my hand in there, I'm like, like all over body shiver. But they love it.
They do, and I'll tell you what,
Although some don't, and it's hysterical when you give it to a dog and they're like, "No, this
no
is
thank
not
you.
food." It's
No
so
thank you.
funny.
Yeah, no, it is funny, and honestly, the thing about dogs, again, is just find what your dog likes, like, try a bunch of different things. Maybe your dog doesn't want the furry thing or the stinky thing or the dehydrated thing, but if they do, I mean, that's like, ice cream or pizza on a Friday, right? Like, that's a treat, so give it to them if you can, when you can, even if it's only once a month or once every other month, that's a small little joy that you can give them. And it is some of it like, it stinks and some of it's weird, but I'll tell you what, not maybe not people like you, Tina, but people like me are fascinated by watching their dog chew things up, swallow them. I like to watch Fitz eat his food when just because I wanna make sure he's not gonna choke, right?
Right.
But watching him think about how he's gonna take it apart and how he's gonna chew it, and then watching him think about it, he's exhausted afterwards. It's like a total enrichment activity, which is so cool.
I wonder though, because I think about, like, there have been some things that I've given Jack that he just looks at me like I have lost my mind. Like, he is like, "What in the world is the matter with you?" Like, I think I tried to give him a trachea once, and he was like, "This is not food. I don't know what you're talking about, lady. You are a crazy person." So, just know that your dog is used to kibble, right? They're used to cereal. And so imagine if, I don't know, if I drank Ensure protein shakes, no shade on Ensure, thank you for producing a product that helps a lot of people get enough nutrition. Um, and then you suddenly handed me a really nice ribeye just the way I like it. I would probably also be a little like, "What? What is this? I don't understand."
Yeah, no, and it's totally fair. I experienced that when I went through it with Fitz when we converted over to raw. He was very much like, "I don't know how I feel about this." So experiment, cut it up a little bit finer, put it in a meat
Okay.
grinder and,
The idea
all
of
the
me
things.
cutting up a duck head, I'm just like, "Emily, you're asking a lot from an old woman." Like,
I get that it's
ugh.
not from everybody, but, I was a vet
Mm.
tech for a really long time, so I have
Oh,
seen
so you
way
put
worse
"What's on my
things.
scrubs," and then
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
wins. Yeah, you have to have a strong constitution.
Strong stomach, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and no and yeah, like, you don't play that game with kids. So,
No.
'cause and I am thoughtful about that, like, I really, truly I do not wanna traumatize our kids. I just
Yeah.
don't. So, I mean, I suppose you can give it while kids are at school or, I don't know, take the
Yeah,
dog
you
in the
just feed
backyard
feed it a
and
different time of day, or, one of the times when Fitz gets his, like, treats like that is when I'm leaving the house, and then he gets it in his kennel,
but then
and
do you
so
worry
then
about the choking?
well, I only give specific things when I'm doing that, so,
So
like,
what things would
things
you
with
say are? Because I mean,
like
honestly, the Doberman's just gonna swallow everything whole.
like fish
So is there a
skins,
yeah,
like
he's gonna swallow it
pieces to
whole.
s well, here's the
He's
thing
gonna
about
try to kill
dogs.
himself.
Here's the thing about dogs. They have, like, kind of this weird throat thing, kind of like a gullet. Think, pelican, you know how it, like, expands to swallow? Dogs have the same kind of ability. Their throat can expand around when the food goes down. So they're can they choke? Yes. Are they likely to choke? Not really. Honestly, dogs choke more on those teeny tiny pieces of kibble because they get stuck in the folds when they're swallowing it, or they're eating it too fast and it sticks in there, and that's when they start choking on that
Well,
kind of stuff.
in my whole life, my dogs have eaten kibble with water on it. Like, never have I
Yeah,
fed them dry kibble because it just I imagine it's like eating dry, like, I don't know, kick cereal. Like, that just
yeah,
miserable to me. Um And I'm always amazed when I say to when a customer's like, "Oh, whatever," and I'm like, "Well, do you put water on their food?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah. I don't know why people are so surprised by the fact, but honestly, the
Cold
amount of
trays kinda
water
wet.
well, it is kinda wet, but also, like you said, who wants to eat something that's, like, dry and crunchy like that without a drink, you know? But there isn't any moisture in it. They're not getting any benefits. That's another thing about feeding, like, raw items, whether you feed fully raw or just some raw. Your dog's getting more moisture, and dogs that eat raw food drink way less water because they're absorbing it from the meat versus needing to drink up and make up for it all the time because they are getting that dry kibble.
And I have read they're pretty good at self-regulating water, right?
Yes.
I occasionally get customers who are really worried that their dog isn't drinking enough. I mean, if they're sick, that's a different thing. Like, if you have a dog with loose stool or digestive unrest or whatever, that is a different concern, right? You have a dog
Mm,
that's ill, but the average dog stays hydrated pretty well.
yeah.
All on
They
their
they
like, as
they
long
do.
as fresh water, fresh, clean water is available, they are happy to have fresh, clean water.
Yeah, and if you have a dog that's not drinking fresh, clean water, then you probably need to start being a little bit worried because a dog will self-regulate. They know when to drink the water that they need. So, that's why, after they go out and play, your dog's gonna come inside and drink a whole bunch of water because they just it's like when you're out exercising or riding a bike or whatever, you come home and what do you wanna do? You drink water. So, it's the same thing for dogs.
So, I'll tell you a funny nutrition story from Doctor Ryan's gonna be like, "What have you done? Why are you talking?" Okay, so years and years and years ago, Ryan, he's not anymore actively involved in the day-to-day operations of Noble. He, was hired on somewhere else and is doing that, and so there was, like, a non-compete kinda thing. So, he formulated the dog food, but he's not currently, like, an owner of the company anymore. But way back when I met him, he Noble had a, "Here, try the food for 5 days," like, deal. So you could for a relatively low price, you could, and I love this, cold turkey switch your dog from kibble and just feed their raw for 5 days and see what you thought. So at the time, we had a deaf pug who was a hot mess. He's hysterical. He was hysterical. He passed away a couple of years ago. But so I break up the Noble in bowls, like, according to what each dog is supposed to eat. I pour water on it, mix it up a little bit, feed everybody in their bowls, and then Christopher and I sit down for dinner. Now, Al the pug had a long
Ow.
yeah,
The name is great.
he's a pug. He needs a fun he was so we have a long tradition in our family that our animals are often named after Italian racers, either motorcycles or cars. Al, if you looked at him, kinda looked like Alberto Ascari in his late in his career, right? Like, kind of a little round Italian dude who looked like he could have a cigar hanging out of his face. And Al was deaf, so it wasn't gonna hurt his feelings anyway. He didn't know who Alberto Ascari is. So, Al is the dog who the moment a kibble, like, the moment the last molecule of food was consumed, immediately would make all of the crazy pug sounds to announce that dinner is over and we are, now on to the next thing, which is usually going outside and pottying. So, I give the dogs their food. Christopher and I sit down to eat. The dogs are eating, and I'm waiting for the owl alert that everyone needs to go outside. Cricket. Nothing. I literally turn to Christopher and go, "Oh my goodness, is Al dead?" Right? Because this is not a dog who was silent at the end of a meal ever. And I go and check on him, and he is sound asleep snoring. right? Like hugging his bowl, sound asleep snoring. So I text Ryan and I say, "What the did you do to my dog?" Right? And he says, "For the first time, probably in your dog's entire life, the food he ate fully satiated all of his needs,
Yep,
so he fell asleep."
yep. That's my favorite thing about feeding Fitz now because Fitz was like the ultimate picky eater. Like we went through so many different kinds of foods between urinary tract infections, bladder infections, kidney stones, allergic reactions, like everything. We went through the gamut. And now he eats every single bite of his food. He licks his plate clean. He belches really loudly after he's finished, and then he goes and takes a nap. And it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it was absolutely stunning to me, and at the time, I think we had 5 dogs, and they all were just like, "And peace out, we need a nap."
We
And I
done.
was like, "Well, alrighty then." And I will say, absolutely, stool in the backyard, game changer. Like,
Yeah.
you go from brand A to brand B, and you're gonna see a difference. I also asked, Ryan back in the day, um, how much could I augment their food without worrying about digestive and nutritional issues? And he freed me by saying, "You can augment up to 50% of intake, and you will know if there's a problem because coat texture will change immediately." Like, you
Yeah,
will
and s
immediately feel the difference. And to be honest, I meet dogs in public all the time and can often tell what food they're eating by touching them, and sometimes I can smell what food they're eating.
yeah. That's
So,
not honestly one of my favorite parts is the soft, soft, soft coat.
oh, yes, my Doberman has completely incorrect coat because he is fed really, really well. Right? So in a dog show ring, they would be like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," and I don't care because he's on my sofa, not in a dog
Yeah,
show,
exactly.
and he's happy and
Exactly.
healthy and feels great, right? And when he came to me, his coat was incredibly coarse. So so what I would say is we hope that this just starts a conversation and that we all kinda educate ourselves a little bit and understand it's never gonna be perfect. It's just not, and even if you take, um, a Volgamort food and you mix it with a moderate quality food, because that's what your budget allows you to do, I'm gonna love you through that. I'm gonna think that's great. Any little improvement is an improvement, and I am
Yes.
all about screwing it up a little bit better and but definitely find sources of information that you can trust. AI is making me a crazy person, right? I have to go to individuals and sources that I have vetted and trusted for decades. And even then, I can't watch a video and trust that what's in front of my eyes on a video is real.
Yeah.
And I worry about gonna how that's gonna play out. So, Forever Dog, I love that you brought up Forever Dog. And I imagine that Rodney and Karen are gonna have to write another one and keep updating because the science and the research is changing every day.
Yeah.
Do you have a specialty and education and certification in gut microbiome, like building a good, healthy gut microbiome?
So that's part of the certification. They teach you how to do that. It's part of the whole thing. And Feed Real offers a course for pet parents. So you don't have to go through the whole huge rigmarole certification that I went through. I think it's $150. I have a referral for
So
it.
does
I can give it
so
to
does
you.
Linda Case at the Science Dog,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can go and look up her information too.
Yeah, and I mean there's a lot of great programs out there for pet parents who just wanna learn to do a little bit better. And I offer free consultations on nutrition, and I also have a bunch of free resources on nutrition. So, there's stuff out there, and I am 100% one of those people. If you are in my inbox, I will respond to you. If you have questions, email me, DM me on Instagram. I will talk to you about nutrition all day long, upside down. And if I don't have the answer, I guarantee I know somebody who does.
Well, and right. Again, Ryan laughs at me when I say this, but when the whole DCM thing broke, I was like, okay, I've been recommending grain free for decades. And I do not want to, like, I have a responsibility of stewardship that I am providing as accurate information as I can possibly provide. And so I realized that my village needed a bigger idiot and that Ryan was the biggest idiot I could find. And he was tickled because he's a great guy. He was absolutely tickled that that was, my shtick when I talked to him. And he's amazing, right? So now he's not doing those consultations. He can't. Um, but he has been on the podcast. People can go back. We will link in some of those discussions. Likewise, if you're listening to this podcast and you have a nutritionist that you want us to bring on, they don't have to agree with me. Emily and I do not agree on everything, and that is okay. I think she's smart and pretty anyway. She has a certification I don't have. I have a course from Linda Chase that I've been trying to finish for 6 years, but the only time I get to work on it is when I'm sick, and then I have fever brain, and it doesn't work. So one day I will finish that course all in one. I need to just put it on my calendar. Maybe that will be on my list for 2026. But yeah, there's tons of courses that are um so one of the things I like about the science dog, she's not selling anything, right? You're not concerned that she's selling a product and then is perhaps a little biased because she sells a product. Um, I I share the Noble affiliate link. That was actually the first affiliate link I ever asked for, because I was such a huge believer. And I wish if I in the future, I've said this to many clients, in the future, what dogs I will own and how many and how big will be determined by my ability to feed them the absolute best that I can. And that will probably mean fewer and smaller animals, but it's something I feel that strongly about because my animals, I take very serious responsibility for their health and welfare and quality of life, and they get a really short ride, and they deserve the absolute best ride we can give them because selfishly, that means they have the very best to offer me and my family
Yeah,
and my
it
community,
does.
right? They
Well,
can
and
be ambassadors for us.
yeah, and what you just said about products, like, I feel very strongly about that. Like, I only recommend products that I feel very strongly about, which, Pet Matrix and Field Drill, those are the 2 that I keep repeating over and over again because I feel very strongly about them. But when I teach you how to feed your dog, when I give you a nutrition plan, those are extra items. I don't make money based on what I'm telling you because I don't say, here's a discount code to this, here's a discount code to this. If you want to take the free treats from Feed Reel, great. If you want to take the discount code on Pet Matrix, I do get affiliate code for that, great. But those are optional. The other stuff, you get to pick, you get to spend your money where you wanna spend your money, and I don't profit from that. And I think that that's so important.
Well, right. I mean, one of the things that made it really easy for me to recommend some nutritional changes was that in something like 80% of the cases, the people didn't need me anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
never made a penny. I never even did a consult. Terrible business idea, but good for the world and important. So, I don't know. I'll be 56 by the time this airs, and if I eat too much commercially made bread, all of my long bones hurt. But if I bake my own bread at home, and I'm not buying some crazy, like, importing it from New Zealand kind of flour, I'm just buying good high quality flour, I can eat that bread and my bones don't hurt. And I think ingredient quality matters.
Yeah, it does.
So, we love you. Guess we're gonna have you back for a gut microbiome conversation because now I wanna learn more about that. I keep saying I need, like, 4 to 6 more lifetimes to pursue all of the things I'm curious about. So, I'm glad that I have a resource that I can add to my list of who I trust for my village. Um, and that's what we hope the Your Family Dog podcast is too, that we are just another, well, idiot that that you can add to your village to help you navigate this goofy, silly, contradictory, confusing, frustrating world to
Yeah,
just do it all a little bit better.
yeah.
So, Emily, thank you. If you'll hold on while I sign off the podcast, then we'll schedule the next one because I want to learn more about the gut microbiome. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending part of your precious day with us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, rate, subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at yourfamilydogpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.